Composing Gloves here, and today we are looking at proximity. It is a psychoacoustic fader. As you move the fader down, it will approximate the source moving further away using things like delay, high frequency loss through air absorption. If you get closer, things sound wider. The proximity effect takes place, all these other things. So I've got a mix here where you can see all the faders are up, but on each one of these channels, there's a proximity. Here's what it sounds like. Let's take a look at a specific channel. So on proximity, there are a bunch of models that take place. You can have it model early reflections. You can have it model delay, gain, the high frequency loss through air. And you can have these things be modulated by a depth and speed. However, I've found that I almost never want modulation. I don't like what it does or how it sounds, so I'm not going to cover it. We're just going to talk about these because these are really cool. Now, you pick your distance here, your original distance. So I put everything at 5 meters, but you could pick things that are closer or further. And then as you move the fader, they will change the distance you're actually at. So right now we're at 6 dB down, which is about double the distance, which we could see here. And we could see our relative and our gain. Now, you could turn the gain off and it becomes a kind of psychoacoustic control because each one of these things can be toggled off. Let's start with them all off and just go through them. So at the top, we have delay. You're usually going to want this off unless you're doing something with picture and sound effects and stuff like that, like sound to picture. Maybe you'll want this on. If we turn this on the drums here, you can hear the delays all adjusting. To give you a better idea of what's going on here, I can just do it to the left channel or to the right channel. And when we do that, you'll hear it just in the left, you'll hear the delay. And that delay is been calculated with the speed of sound to be accurate to, if we were to have lost this amount of dB, then its distance will be something about here from our original distance. So if we move it up, the delay is not going to be as far because that person's not as far away or that sound source isn't as far away. Naturally, we usually don't want this on. And actually, by default, when you load it up, it's off. Then we have gain. This is just gain. Literally just turns it up and down. We'll put this back on stereo. Now, we're gonna not want gain on for some of the things that we'll see here. So we've got here air, high frequency. This is high frequency loss through air. If you've ever stood really far away from someone and had them yell to you, you don't hear the high frequencies in their voice because they're so far away, they got absorbed by the air. So let's check out model A. It sounds just a bit darker. If we increase the distance, even darker. Here's model B. Quite a bit more aggressive. So that's the air high frequency. Up next we have width. Now if you think about the width of a sound, when you're close, it's going to sound very wide because you're very close to it. So the diffraction, all those effects are going to be more pronounced. As you move further and further away from a sound source, you enter the free field, or more and more of approximation of a free field, the reverberant field. And so it's going to sound less wide because the average sound hitting you is going to equal out a little more. But when you're really close, it's the same reason why when you mic up a guitar cabinet and the SM57 is really, really close to the cab, you move it like half an inch and it sounds super different. But if you take that same setup and just move the mic back like 5 feet, you move it by half an inch and it does not sound all that different anymore. And because it's further away, the effects are less pronounced. So with the gain off, if we turn on width, we can actually use this as a kind of stereo Widener. And I recommend you're wearing headphones for this. I should have said that at the beginning. But you can also visually see how much more mono this is. and how we get a lot more stereo info when we're very close. Here's model B. In this case, I tend to like A more. A is a little bit more aggressive. Next, we have proximity. Microphones will have a proximity effect, or at least some of them will, where a bump will appear in the spectrogram as you put a mic closer versus if you have it further away. And it's referred to as the proximity effect. I believe that's the effect they are referring to here. Here's what we have. Let's start out far away and get closer. This is one I tried to find a manual on and I couldn't. So this is one I'm not 100% sure on, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're referring to. Usually I have this off just because I'm not 100% and I usually don't hear a significant difference with it. Finally, we have reflections. Now, reflections, I generally don't like what they bring to the table. I don't like how they sound. It's early reflections that are going to be hitting the mic, and I'm not sure how they picked how they're going to model these or from where, or I mean, I don't know. I couldn't find any information on it. But I can tell you right now, I'm not a huge fan of it. Let me go ahead and turn on A and show you what I mean. So, turn this on. If we bring it down, all that extra pitter patter, that's the early reflections. Here's B. I hear it, especially doesn't sound very good. So that's reflections. I'm not sure. I think it's early reflections. Reflections in general, you got me. I'm not entirely sure. I just know I generally don't like to have that on. So the ones I find extremely useful are delay if I'm doing something where I'm trying to be really accurate, but usually it's going to be gain, the air, taking up the air absorption, and the width. And it's really great to just set a distance. You pick the models you want. Like, for example, we could go for A and on, maybe B on the width, or maybe B on the high frequency and A on the width, since these two are sort of the more aggressive ones. And if, for example, we want a stereo Widener, we can leave this off and bring up the slider. Now we have way wider drums. If we bring the gain on, we could pull it back and just subtly scoot it into the mix. Bring in our bass. Maybe we'll go with the gain somewhere around yay. Let's go look at the bass here. So here's the bass. This is the settings I wound up going with. Pretty straightforward. I kept everything at the same distance. You may want to vary your distance. Maybe the bass player is, I don't know, further away. Bring in the next sound, the flutes. These have been taken back quite a bit. They were very bright, so I went with the more aggressive high frequency selection. Didn't have to take this one down too much. That's working with proximity. Pretty straightforward, very cool plugin. It is a shame it's been discontinued. So if we look over here at the free database, here it is. This is proximity. It's no longer actually, I've updated this. This is now Tokyo Dawn Labs. Before it was Tokyo Dawn Records and Vlad G, which I believe went on to work at Tokyo Dawn Records. And he has a whole bunch of plugins he's made. Okay. I was trying to find what he went by. It's Variety of Sound. So if you look up Variety of Sound, you will find all the plugins this person has made. Some of them make him onto some popular lists. And then if you go to their site on the developer link, you can kind of see. So anyways, just so you know, this person's done more work than just this. But yeah, you can go to proximity. we'll just look up procs. There's not that many things with that in it. And you can just see it. Now it is 1 star because it is discontinued. That's pretty much it, but it's available in all the standard formats. It goes up to VST2, never made its way to VST3. Hey, maybe someday it'll be brought back and I can update this because personally, I put this at 5 stars. It's really cool. The only thing that I sort of have a gripe about is in the modulation section. First, I'm not a fan of how it sounds, but also you can't click and drag these. You have to click one by one. And it goes, I believe, all the way up to 10. And so, like, it'd be really nice if I could just click and drag the numbers too, instead of having to do it. Now, you could type a value. You can't type values here, though. See, that's what I want to be able to do. So that's basically it. Everything else is pretty swell. Maybe not 5, maybe 4, just because there are some things on here that I've not found a time when I really like what they do. But very, very cool free plugin. If you've used this or if this is one of your favorites, let me know down below. What would you rate it? Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos and have a blessed day.